You're sitting in the meeting room. Your boss is talking, his tone changing, slow, sharp, forceful. You will do whatever it takes to finish this project. Your heart races. A voice in your head. But this is wrong. You don't open your mouth because that voice inside you is being drowned out by a louder one. I need to be accepted. I need to get promoted. I need to stay quiet. And in that moment, you give up being yourself. Does this feeling sound familiar? Maybe you experienced it at a project meeting, maybe at a performance review, maybe on a regular Monday morning. When that moment comes, you don't fully understand what's happening, but something changes inside you. A door closes, a window shuts, and you are no longer the same person. That's exactly what we're going to talk about today. Miyamoto Musashi never lost in hundreds of duels, but he won the real battle elsewhere, within himself. What I'm going to teach you today is simple but profound. Protecting your identity is not weakness, it's strategy. And if you don't learn this strategy, you'll lose the most valuable thing on your career journey, yourself. Chapter 1. The business world constantly tells you one thing: conform. Your boss has expectations, your team has norms, your company has policies, and you slowly disappear. It starts with small things. You don't speak up in a meeting, you approve a decision in a project that goes against your values, you say okay to a sentence in an email that you don't actually agree with. Then come the bigger compromises. After a while, you look in the mirror and see someone you don't recognize. This isn't just your problem. Research shows that 67% of employees feel they can't be their true selves at work. A study by Harvard Business Review is even more striking. 80% of professionals admit that at some point in their careers, they compromised their values and experienced internal conflict as a result. Why? Because the system seems to demand it. Promotion, recognition, security all come at a price, giving up on yourself. But here's the illusion. Musashi understood this 400 years ago. Losing your identity at work doesn't happen with one big decision. It happens through small, quiet, unnoticed moments. You quietly agree to a project. You approve a strategy that goes against your values. You choose to hide your true thoughts in a team meeting. And each time, that voice inside you grows a little weaker. Eventually, you look at yourself and ask, is this me? Because you no longer know. The system has slowly changed you, shaped you, molded you into its own image, and you accepted it without realizing it. So how does this happen? The mechanism is simple but effective. When you make the first concession, you gain something: approval, a sense of security, maybe a small promotion. Your brain codes this as a reward. Then the second concession comes easier because you didn't feel the pain of the first one. You even gained a little something. The third one is even easier, and after a while, making concessions becomes your default mode. You don't even question it anymore. You're on autopilot. This is where Musashi's story comes in, because he faced the same choice, and the decision he made shaped his entire life. There's also this. Most people don't even realize they've lost their identity because the loss is slow and insidious. You look in the mirror in the morning, same face. You go to work, same desk. But something is missing inside. Maybe motivation, maybe passion, maybe just that old energy. They call it burnout. But it's actually something deeper: loss of identity. Because you are no longer living according to your values, you are living according to the expectations of others. And this is unsustainable. Psychological research clearly shows this. When people live contrary to their values, the risk of chronic stress, anxiety, and depression increases threefold. Even the body feels it, because identity is not just a mental concept, it is a biological reality. When you lose yourself, your whole system feels it. Chapter 2, 1604, Kyoto. Musashi is still only 20 years old, a young warrior. His fame is beginning to spread, but he has not yet reached the peak. At this time in Japan, the most important thing for a warrior is to belong to a clan, because surviving alone is almost impossible. Protection, resources, training, reputation all depend on a clan. And it is at this very moment that the Yoshioka clan knocks on Musashi's door. The Yoshioka clan is one of Kyoto's most powerful sword schools, with hundreds of students, connections to the court, and both money and prestige. They make Musashi an offer. Join us, be under our protection, and status, power, respect, all will be yours. There is one condition. He must fight in the Yoshioka style, obey their rules, carry their identity, and glorify their name. Musashi listens quietly. The offer is tempting. It even makes sense. Most warriors wouldn't pass up this opportunity, but Musashi knows one thing. If he follows their path, he will lose his own. And to him, that is unacceptable. Musashi refuses. The Yoshioka clan is shocked, because rejecting such an offer is seen not only as disrespectful, but also as a challenge. The clan leader is furious and sends Musashi a message. If you won't be with us, you will be against us. And so the moment arrives. Musashi arranges a meeting under a tree outside Kyoto. All members of the Yoshioka clan arrive, over 100 warriors. Musashi is alone. It is early morning. The fog has not yet lifted. There is silence. Yoshioka's chief warrior steps forward, draws his sword. Musashi waits, motionless, breathing steadily. His opponent attacks, fast, deadly. But Musashi moves a split second earlier, one strike, the duel is over. The second warrior comes, then the third, then the fourth. Musashi defeats them all. The clan retreats. He wins the duel, but what he truly wins is something else: himself. This isn't just a story about a duel, it's a battle for identity. The Yoshioka clan offered Musashi power, but the price was clear: forgetting who he was. Most warriors would have accepted this offer because it seemed logical. Security, prestige, resources, it was all on the table. But Musashi knew something. You can never achieve true power when you live with someone else's identity. Because power cannot be imitated, it can only be built. And to build it, you must first know who you are. The duel he fought with the Yoshioka clan was not just a physical conflict. It was the moment Musashi chose his own path. Outside Kyoto, standing alone under that tree, he proved something. A person who protects their identity becomes invincible, because there is no external force that can break them. His inner integrity kept him standing. Musashi won 61 more duels after that day and was never defeated in any of them. But that first decision, the decision to reject the Yoshioka clan, was the foundation of his entire career. Because at that moment, he made a promise to himself: I will walk my own path. Chapter 3, Dokkōdō, The Way of Solitude, written by Musashi throughout his life, consists of 21 principles. This text is like a will written by Musashi a week before his death. He condensed his entire life philosophy into these principles. The first principle is, accept your path and do not yearn for another. This is not just a warrior's philosophy, it is an identity strategy. Musashi is saying here, everyone has a path in life. Choose your own path and remain faithful to it. Envying others' paths, coveting their successes, wanting to be like them, all of this weakens you, because you are spending your energy following others' paths instead of walking your own. Musashi knew, strength comes not from conformity, but from integrity. When you live by others' rules, you carry their power, but when you live by your own rules, no one can break you. The second concept is Fudoshin, the unshakable mind. This was one of Musashi's most important principles. Fudoshin is not just about staying calm. It means protecting your foundation. At a meeting, your boss is cornering you. The team is pressuring you. Everyone expects you to compromise. That's when Fudoshin comes into play. An unshakable mind means not panicking, not straying from your values, not forgetting who you are even under pressure. Musashi used this in duels. He remained calm while his opponent attacked him, because he knew those who panic lose, those who protect their mind win. It's the same in your workplace. When you forget who you are under stress, pressure, or in a crisis, you lose everything. But if you apply Fudoshin, you can protect yourself in any situation. Fudoshin is actually a mental technique. Musashi meditated before duels, did breathing exercises, and calmed his mind, because he knew duels are won not with the sword, but with the mind. You can do the same. Sit quietly for 5 minutes every morning, breathe, and remind yourself, who am I? What are my values? This small ritual will protect you throughout the day. And the third concept is Zanshin, persistent awareness. This is one of Musashi's least known but most powerful principles. Zanshin means to remain constantly alert. Musashi did not lose his focus even after the duel was over, because he knew the moment you relax after victory is your most vulnerable moment. Your opponent may seem defeated, but they are still dangerous. They can attack the moment you relax. That's why Musashi didn't immediately sheathe his sword after a duel. He would take a few steps back, check his surroundings, and only then relax. Zanshin teaches you this. Maintaining your identity requires constant practice. It doesn't end once you've made the right decision. Every day, every moment, in every situation, you must ask yourself, am I staying true to my values right now? Zanshin is also an early warning system. When you start to stray from your identity, Zanshin alerts you. Maybe you feel restless. Maybe your sleep pattern is disrupted. Maybe you lack motivation when you wake up in the morning. These are small signals, but they are important, because this is how identity loss begins. Zanshin allows you to notice these signals. Chapter 4. Now return to today's business world. What does the Yoshioka clan that Musashi faced mean to you? Maybe your boss, maybe the company culture, maybe toxic dynamics within the team, or maybe that voice inside you. I have to conform. Modern offices look very different from dueling grounds, but the strategy is the same. There are forces trying to change you, and if you don't resist, you slowly disappear. Here's the truth. When you compromise your identity, you may gain short-term rewards, a promotion, approval, praise. But in the long run, burnout follows, because a person cannot sustain a role that isn't their own forever. A study from Stanford University clearly shows this. People who work against their values experience 3 times more stress, feel twice as much burnout, and are 5 times more likely to leave their jobs. But those who do the opposite, who protect their identity, become stronger, more creative, and more effective in the long run. Because power comes from integrity, not deception. Think about it. How many times at work have you not been yourself? How many times have you not spoken your true mind because you were afraid of the reaction? How many times have you remained silent in a situation that goes against your values because you were afraid of losing your job? These may seem like small moments, but they are actually moments that build or destroy your identity, because every compromise makes the next one easier. First a small thing, then a bigger one, then an even bigger one. And suddenly you realize you're no longer yourself, but someone the system wants you to be. This is where Musashi's teaching comes in. Protecting your identity is not a choice, it's a discipline. Every day, with every decision, in every situation, you must ask yourself, is this me? If the answer is no, don't choose that path, because that path will destroy you in the long run. You look around and see people who appear successful but are unhappy. They've been promoted, their salaries have increased, their titles are impressive. But when you look into their eyes, there's a void, because they've succeeded as someone else, not as themselves. And that success is hollow. The biggest misconception in the modern business world is this: you have to conform to be successful. But research shows the opposite. The most effective leaders, the most creative employees, the most resilient professionals are those who maintain their identity, because they are not copies of the system. They carry their own unique strengths, and this makes them indispensable. If everyone in a company fits the same mold, that company stagnates. But people who maintain their identity bring innovation, offer different perspectives, take risks, and create change. That's why preserving one's identity is not just a personal choice, but also a professional strategy. Google's Project Aristotle research, conducted years ago, proved this. The most successful teams were those where members could be their authentic selves. This concept, called psychological safety, describes environments where people can preserve their identities and freely express their ideas. And in these environments, performance skyrockets. Chapter 5. Now let's get practical. How do you apply Musashi's philosophy to your life today? Here are 3 techniques. Technique 1. Create a value map. Take a piece of paper and write down 3 core principles. These principles are your warrior code. Example: honesty, I don't lie or manipulate. Creativity, I don't say yes to work that kills my spirit. Respect, I will not behave in a demeaning way towards myself or others. These 3 principles are the foundation of your identity. But just writing them down is not enough. You must put them into practice. Look at this map every time you make a decision. If a decision conflicts with these 3 principles, reject it, because that decision distances you from yourself. The value map is also a filtering tool. Use this filter for every opportunity, every project, every job offer that comes your way. Ask yourself, is this opportunity aligned with my values? If the answer is no, let go of that. Go of opportunity, because the wrong opportunities lead you in the wrong direction. When creating your value map, remember this: principles must be specific. Being a good person is too general. It's not a principle, but I never lie is specific and measurable. Being successful is general, but I say no to jobs that kill my creativity is specific. Specific principles give you clarity, and clarity is power. Also, do this. Write down your principles and hang them somewhere. Put them on your desk, take a screenshot on your phone, put them in your wallet. Because in the daily chaos, you can forget your principles, but when they're in front of your eyes, you remember them. Musashi never parted with his sword. Don't part with your values either. Second technique, conduct boundary tests. Before every duel, Musashi would ask himself, is entering this battle in line with my path? Similarly, in every moment of pressure, ask yourself, would saying no in this situation make me stronger? Example, your boss assigns you an unethical project. Your first instinct is to accept because you fear losing your job. But ask yourself, what part of my identity would I lose if I accept this project? Then test it. Say no. The world won't end, maybe your boss will react, but you will be stronger because you protected your boundary. Boundary tests are like building muscle. At first it's hard, it hurts, you struggle, but each test makes you stronger for the next one. The first no is the hardest. The second no is easier. The 10th no almost feels natural, because now you know who you are, and you won't compromise that. When setting boundaries, keep this in mind. Don't be aggressive, but be clear. Saying, I can't participate in this project because you're stupid, isn't setting boundaries, it's disrespectful. But saying, I can't participate in this project because it conflicts with my values, but I can suggest an alternative approach, both sets boundaries and is respectful. Musashi even showed respect to his enemies because he knew respect is for the strong. Do the same. Protect your boundaries, but don't lose respect. Also, remember this, every no is a yes. When you say no to something wrong, you can say yes to something right. Your energy is limited, your time is limited. If you say yes to the wrong things, there will be no room left for the right things. The third technique, the Zanshin ritual, daily awareness. At the end of each day, take 5 minutes and ask yourself, who was I? Did I stay true to my values? Was there a moment when I compromised? If so, why? This ritual prevents you from losing yourself. Because losing your identity happens without you noticing, Zanshin keeps that awareness alive. Be honest when performing this ritual. There's no point in lying to yourself. If you compromise today, accept it, but don't judge yourself. Just notice and learn. Ask yourself, why did I compromise? Was it fear, pressure, fatigue? Once you understand the reason, you'll be better prepared next time. Take the Zanshin ritual one step further. Do weekly and monthly reviews. At the end of the week, ask, did I stay true to my identity this week? At the end of the month, ask, did I live by my values this month? This allows you to see the bigger picture, because sometimes you see small deviations in your daily ritual, but you don't realize you've lost yourself in the bigger picture. Weekly and monthly reviews show you that bigger picture. These 3 techniques may seem simple, but they are powerful, because protecting your identity is not about grand gestures, but about small, consistent habits. You look at your value map every day. You test your boundaries with every decision. You hold yourself accountable every evening. This discipline makes you invincible over time because you no longer forget who you are. Chapter 6. Now let me tell you a story, a true story. Her name is Lydia, a software engineer, 30 years old, working at a large tech company. Lydia is bright, talented, and loved by her team. She has career goals. She wants to be a manager within 5 years. Everything is going well when one day her team leader comes to her and proposes a project. We're going to build a new feature, track user data without approval. This will give us a huge advantage. Lydia knows this is unethical and may even be illegal, but her boss adds, this project is crucial for your promotion. Senior management is watching. If you succeed, they'll notice you. A battle rages inside Lydia. On one side, career, promotion, recognition. On the other, her values, integrity, ethics. Her first impulse is to accept, stay silent. Everyone else is doing it anyway. But Lydia does something. She stops. She takes a breath, reminding herself of her value map. One of her principles was clear. I will not do anything that harms users. This project directly contradicted that principle. Lydia asks herself, if I make this decision, will I be able to look at myself in the mirror? The answer is no. And in that moment, she makes a decision. The next day, she goes to her boss and says, I can't participate in this project. It conflicts with my values, violates user privacy, and could harm the company in the long run. Her boss is shocked. He tries to persuade her. Everyone is doing it. Our competitors are doing it. We'll fall behind if we don't. Lydia stays calm, applying Fudoshin. I understand your concerns, but I can't choose this path. I can suggest an alternative approach. We can collect data with user consent, which is both ethical and legal. The boss gets angry and says, "Fine, then you won't be on this project." Lydia accepts. The following week is tough. Her teammates are distant. Some criticize her. "You're being too principled. You're hurting your career." Lydia feels doubt. Did I do the wrong thing? But every evening she performs the Zanshin ritual, asking herself, who was I today? And the answer is always the same. I was myself. This gives her strength. 3 months pass. The project begins. User data is collected, without approval. Then a user notices and complains. The issue escalates, hits the media, and legal proceedings begin. The company enters crisis mode. Senior management launches an investigation, and Lydia's stance at that meeting comes to light. Senior management learns that Lydia objected to this project, proposed alternatives, but was not listened to. 6 months later, something happens. Lydia gets promoted, but this time it's not just a promotion. They now trust her, because they know Lydia doesn't lose herself even under pressure. She doesn't compromise on ethical values. She thinks long-term. Chapter 7. Musashi won 61 duels, but he won the real battle within himself, because he knew power doesn't come from outside. Power comes from not forgetting who you are. Today's world constantly tells you, conform, change, be accepted. But what Musashi tells you is different. Accept your path and do not yearn for another. Protecting your identity is not weakness, it is strategy. Because the moment you lose yourself, you lose everything. But the moment you protect yourself, no one can destroy you. Musashi's entire life was built on this principle. He rejected the Yoshioka clan, turned down offers from powerful samurai lords, never served a master. Why? Because he knew freedom comes from identity. When you lose yourself, you are not free, you are a prisoner of others' expectations, of the system's rules. Now it's your turn. Write in the comments. Which of your values do you compromise on the most? And will you say no somewhere this week?